For this video, I want to lay out my realistic plan to becoming a millionaire. If you happen to have come across this video because you enjoy financial content, then it's no secret to you that there is no shortage of get-rich-quick schemes floating around out there. And as much as I would love to tell you that I can take $10 and turn it into $1 million, the truth is that real wealth building takes time and generally is very boring. And although no one likes to hear that getting rich quick is unlikely, getting rich isn't as far-fetched as you would think. As a bit of a consolation, at the end of 2020, there was 56.1 million millionaires. Now, I don't know about y'all, but I found this statistic rather surprising. 56.1 million millionaires? Hey, this is doable. And given the fact that we just had back-to-back bear markets, one being pandemic-induced, the other being inflation-induced, and now there's a potential for a recession, I think that number, 56.1 million, ballooning to something much larger, is pretty likely. So now that I feel the odds are a tiny bit more in my favor, here is my plan to breaking into this exclusive club. The single biggest move I am currently making is maxing out my retirement account. In order to do so, my options are a traditional or a Roth IRA. And those are my options right now because currently my employment status is that of self-employed. So I don't have access to an employer-sponsored retirement program like a typical 401k. And already I'm at a disadvantage. If you have access to a 401k and your employer matches contributions, max that out. If I had a 401k, you best bet that would be step number one. But anyways, I digress. A traditional IRA and a Roth IRA are my options. I'm going to go with a Roth IRA, and that's because of the tax advantages that a Roth has over a traditional. The Roth IRA is a fantastic investment vehicle, and that's because it offers tax-free growth and tax-free retirement withdrawals over the lifetime of the account. When you make contributions to a Roth IRA, those are after-tax contributions. This is much different from a traditional IRA in which those contributions are before tax. If you're having difficulty deciding whether or not you should invest with a traditional or a Roth IRA, ask yourself this question. Do you expect to be in a higher tax bracket in the future than you are now? If the answer is yes, then the Roth IRA is the account for you. So with a Roth IRA, there are contribution limits of $6,000 a year. That works out to $500 a month or $125 a week. Given that I'm a huge fan of dollar cost averaging, I'm going to develop an investment schedule that is centered around the $125 a week rather than investing bulk sums like the $6,000 up front. So if $125 a week is what I will be investing, what can I expect that to grow to by the time I retire? Now's the time to start making a few assumptions, the first of which being that this retirement account portfolio is going to be built around an S&P 500 index fund or ETF. For me, I think I'm going to go with VOO. That's Vanguard's S&P 500 ETF. Now, historically speaking, the S&P 500 has returned about 10% compounded annually. So with these assumptions and using a calculator like the one you can find at investor.gov, we are going to project the value of this portfolio across 40 years. For step one, you're going to include your initial investment. For the purpose of this exercise, we're going to assume I have $0 to invest at first. The monthly contribution to max out a Roth IRA is going to be the $500 a month. And the length of time in years, given my age, we are going to say that 40 years from now is a reasonable time to retire. For the estimated interest rate, that's why I said that the S&P 500 generally returns 10%. Let's make that same assumption. And the thing I like about this calculator is that you can introduce a variance range in which you could do plus or minus percentage points. For this, I think it's reasonable to say plus or minus 2. And the compound frequency is going to be annually. As you can see, the results are in. In 40 years, I will have $2,655,555.33. If you were to receive 12% compounded annually instead of 10%, your portfolio will balloon to $4,602,548.52. That is substantially more than the $2 million that you would make at 10%. That really highlights the difference between a few percentage points when it's compounded interest. So pay attention to those auto loans, mortgages, and credit card debt. And that's the beauty of maxing out a retirement account. At $6,000 a year, I am on pace to reach my goal with just step one. Oh, and it's worth mentioning again, that $2 million and some change is tax-free in a Roth IRA. So with just one step, I'm already on track to reaching my goal of being a millionaire, but why leave it there? So after I max out my Roth IRA, then I will be looking to make some contributions to a non-retirement taxable account. And although these accounts lack tax advantages, there are no contribution limits and there are no early withdrawal fees. That's a big part of why I like these accounts. Assuming you're comfortable liquidating the investment positions you hold in them, these accounts are highly liquid. I should note that there are other tax advantage accounts that self-employed individuals can utilize. But me, personally, I'm not ready for that. You see, those other accounts have stipulations and other tax requirements that I don't fully understand yet. And that's a hell of a teaching point. If you don't understand something, it's okay to wait until you do. As investors, we are in a constant state of learning. There will never be a point where we know everything. So it's absolutely crucial to admit when you don't fully understand something. The last thing you want is to be blindsided. With that said, when I learn more about these tax advantage accounts to where I feel comfortable speaking about them and implementing them into my personal strategy, I will come out with an updated version to this video. But anyways, I digress. Returning back from that tangent, going back to the taxable account, I'll be making a contribution of about $50 a week. That works out to a yearly contribution of $2,400. Making the same assumption that the S&P 500 ETF is going to be the foundation for this portfolio, let's go back to the calculator and see what that portfolio growth is going to look like. The results are in 40 years, I will have $1,062,222.13. So as you can see, even with this smaller contribution, I am on track to reaching my goal of being a millionaire. Now that I've covered the amount that I'm going to be investing, what am I going to be investing in? And that's a difficult question to answer, and the reason is I enjoy a little risk taking from time to time. But for the purposes of this video and keeping things simple, in addition to the S&P 500, I will be looking for opportunities in growth stocks and small cap stocks. And look, I'm a huge stocks guy. It's going to take a lot of convincing for me to move money that otherwise would be invested into stocks and invest them in things like real estate. But you know what? That's an interesting topic of conversation that I think needs to be had. So in the comment section below, I would love to hear what assets you will be focusing on in your journey to becoming a millionaire. Does that mean that I'm closed-minded to bonds and REITs and physical real estate? Absolutely not. I'm totally open to it. It's just in the moment, I feel my money will go further in a stock-centered portfolio. The last step I'm taking in my path to becoming a millionaire has to do with this short term. The thing about the short term is that there are more questions than there are answers, and there are variables that are constantly changing. So it's difficult to make assumptions about what's going to happen. Predictability is at an all-time low when you're talking about the short term. So for me, the short-term goals I have is to build upon the skill set that will improve my value in the work that I'm currently doing. Whether that's learning new software or new business strategy, I want to become more effective. By being more effective and becoming inherently more valuable, I will seek greater compensation. And the amount that you earn impacts your ability to invest consistently. The more you earn, the less likely you are to encounter situations where you have to sacrifice tomorrow for today. In addition, I'm going to continue building the foundations for this side venture, creating financial content. It may be just a side venture now, but my goal is to turn it into a full-blown business. I have to say, I am thoroughly enjoying creating content for you all, and I hope that it helps in not only becoming financially literate, but financially free. Even though financial information is more accessible than ever, we still have a financial literacy problem. And even though it seems there are more opportunities than ever to make money, the middle class is shrinking. So it is absolutely imperative that we are equipped with not only the tools and the knowledge, but the mindset to not be left behind. And that's the community I hope we're building here on this channel. And with that, we've reached the end of our video, but let's do a quick recap. First and foremost, I am going to max out my retirement account. I'm going to be utilizing a Roth IRA because it's tax-free growth and tax-free retirement withdrawals. In terms of contribution, I can invest up to $6,000 a year. After I max out my Roth IRA contributions, I will be looking at a non-retirement taxable account to invest $50 a week or $2,400 a year. Both investment accounts will be centered around an S&P 500 foundation. But given my risk tolerance, I will be looking for opportunities in both growth stocks and small cap stocks. And lastly, in the short term, I want to expand my skill set so that I become more valuable in the work that I currently do. Simultaneously, I will continue to build on the foundations of this channel and its community in hopes that one day it will be a full-blown business. And that's all I have for today. As always, thank you for watching, take care of yourself, and best of luck.